Before I move forward, I would like to emphasize that this preview is not meant to be a condemnation of the character's racial background. Instead, it serves as constructive criticism and at times a heartfelt expression of frustration regarding the MCU and its evident writing issues, which encompass visual, technical, and narrative aspects. This review does not attack the creators, rather it offers a constructive assessment and viewpoint on the elements and principles of the genre that seem to be lacking in the expression of ideas. Recently, the MCU released a new TV show called Ironheart, created by showrunner and writer Chinaka Hodge. The show is set before the events of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and features actor Dominic Thorne as Riri Williams. I'm Castor Oyo and welcome to AfroGeek Station. This channel reviews and does commentary on pop culture media, including films, TV shows, animations, comic books, and many other media from around the world. We also offer intriguing content through various shows. Please like, subscribe, and comment below for more. Ironheart was created by Brian Michael Bendis and was first introduced in Iron Man Volume 3, Issue 7 in 2016, later earning its solo run in 2020 titled Ironheart. Before we delve into the details of the show's issues, we must first discuss the story of the show. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it. This will be a review of the first episode. The story kicks off with a flashback of our central character Riri Williams along with her best friend Natalie, as they record themselves on video expressing their future aspirations and goals. Riri announces her determination to surpass well-known figures like Bill Gates and Hank Pym while also focusing on her expected mentor, Tony Stark. We then shift to the present, where Riri Williams delivers a monologue as she steps onto the MIT campus, declaring herself the greatest inventor of her generation. She attributes her inability to reach this lofty goal to financial constraints. Riri critiques Tony Stark, suggesting that his success stems from the substantial wealth he has at his disposal. We then witness Riri seeking ways to alleviate her financial struggles by assisting her fellow students with their projects in exchange for payment. Later, while experimenting with a new project that ends in disaster, so much so that one of the reviewing professors is injured, she is summoned to the dean's office. There, she learns that she is to be expelled due to her monetized extracurricular activities. Consequently, she is expelled from the university. As security escorts her to collect her belongings from the tech lab, she makes the bold decision to steal school property by activating her iron suit of armor and flying back to her hometown of Chicago. She then uses the built-in AI to text her friend Xavier, brainstorming an escape plan. Meanwhile, a group of eccentric thieves, along with Eric Andre, plot to steal something from a mansion, though the specifics of their target remain undisclosed. The heist takes a wild turn when Eric accidentally triggers the alarm. They manage to escape and rendezvous with a mysterious figure named Parker. Ultimately, Parker and his cousin opted to search for a fitting substitute for their upcoming job, as John, Parker's cousin, mentions that welcoming a replacement on short notice would be challenging. Just then, Riri zooms by in her armored suit.
Coincidence? I think not!
Riri's armor subsequently malfunctions as the AI named Trevor disengages and crash lands in an undisclosed area, where a boy on a bicycle mocks Williams to get off the road. It appears that incidents of people falling from the sky are quite common, as there is no crowd present curious about the situation. Williams then trudges along in her heavy suit of armor, experiencing a walk of shame while onlookers ridicule her, though at least a couple of them inquire if she needs medical help. Riri's journey is interrupted by a young boy with a wagon who offers to help carry her suit. The boy then asks for her name, only to poke fun at her awkward introduction. Upon reaching home, Riri finds herself overcharged by the boy. She enters her house where her mother and friends await. Her mother, visibly concerned, asks what happened to her. She then reveals that she knows Riri was expelled due to her bribing a janitor. Why Riri's mother couldn't contact the school directly or have a line to the Dean Troy remains a mystery to me. Their conversation is then interrupted by Xavier and his strange introduction.
Hey, black people.
Greetings, fellow humans!
Whom I suspect is a Skrull, and he invites Riri to a night stroll as they catch up on lost time. As they continue their discussion, Xavier then asks Riri why she builds the armor, and she states that due to the popularity of their suit of armor, people would likely see her ingenuity and incredible inventions and would care. Why she thinks her infamy won't work if she builds her incredible inventions at MIT and shows them to the world is still a shock to me. They then arrive at Gary's auto shop and reminisce about their lost loved ones, as we learn that Riri's stepfather and best friend have died, and a mural was painted in their honor. This causes discomfort for Riri and they return home, where John spots where she lives. At the junkyard the next morning, Riri gathers parts of her iron suit armor together with Xavier. She then goes to ask for an extension from the junkyard owner, but realizes that the owner doesn't want to grant one after complaining about a customer who hasn't paid his bill. While approaching the owner, they are soon interrupted by John, who covers Riri's bill and then offers Riri a job. He then gives her instructions to the restaurant and tells Riri to report bright and early tomorrow. The following day, Riri visits an abandoned restaurant and follows John's guidance by navigating through the kitchen to reach the elevator. However, the elevator turns out to be a death trap, and she must escape or risk dying due to the instructions provided by Parker. The mastermind behind the operation, using her so-called ingenuity, she successfully escapes and is greeted by our vibrant group of thieves. Parker then attempts to share his moral perspective on class issues and meritocracy, highlighting the unfairness of the world towards Riri. Riri contemplates leaving, but Parker entices her by revealing his stash of cash. She quickly succumbs to temptation when Parker offers her a supposed signing bonus. He informs Riri that all she needs to do is work for him on just 3 jobs. Parker also mentions that they require her iron suit for their next heist. Later that night, Riri begins constructing the suit while listening to Xavier's mixtape. She hears her friend Natalie's voice, which brings back painful memories of her friend and her stepfather being shot due to a gang drive-by. Overwhelmed with emotion, she confronts her mother about her stepfather's garage, Gary's auto shop. Riri ultimately decides to end the discussion and retreats to her room. Meanwhile, we see Parker getting a tattoo from his cousin as they prepare for their extracurricular activities. We return to Riri working on her iron suit as she prepares for any contingencies. She scans her brain to create an AI, but it will take 4 hours to become fully functional. The next morning, Riri is awakened, and upon opening her eyes, she sees her deceased best friend and faints. This episode was penned by showrunner Chinaka Hodge and directed by Sam Bailey. To begin with, I want to highlight the positives from the initial episode. The technical elements and/or importance of the episode are not too shabby. The technical aspects, particularly the CGI in certain parts, while feeling slightly off in some areas, is overall not too bad. Given that CGI artists and animators are often overworked, the way it was presented in the episode feels quite acceptable. The visual elements are creatively showcased, although I would have preferred if they had utilized certain features to create a more impactful and engaging presentation. Now, the larger issue lies mainly with the narrative. The episode's premise revolves around Riri's critique of class privilege and how Tony managed to become Iron Man. Essentially, Riri Williams argues that Tony, due to the generational wealth he was born into, gained significant advantages. While a portion of Tony's success can indeed be attributed to his established generational wealth, it overlooks the fact that Tony would still have built a legacy without that wealth. Again, as the classic Obadiah meme suggests,
it's impossible. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a bunch of scraps.
Her argument is also flawed because although she lacks generational wealth, it doesn't imply that she doesn't have access to resources from one of the world's most prestigious universities that could provide her with that level of success. Another point is the writers attempt to highlight the socio-economic aspects of the Black experience. The concept of Black communities striving to create self-sufficient economic systems is intriguing. However, the issue is that this idea, while very compelling, was only briefly showcased, which could have been much more engaging if they had expanded on the theme of socio-economic class critique from the perspective of the middle working class. The second problematic aspect is the introduction of the Gang of Thieves, who apparently are inspired by Robin Hood that were introduced in the first act.
You serious?
Their purpose and goal are very much poorly established, as we don't even have a clue as to what it is they are stealing and why they are stealing it in the first place. We only know it's called the asset. They're also quite nonchalant about stealing due to how they stroll inside the premise. A good effective way would be if they were swift, technical and precise in achieving their goal. They could also be shown to be competent, therefore a threat to actual community. Even when things go wrong, they still manage to evade the security without even being noticed. Third, characters in this show don't have established moral and ethical grounds that would mostly dictate their actions. Riri being the obvious one, she poses that she is a very intelligent person who wants to accomplish great things, but makes terrible and highly questionable mistakes that leave her not exactly being or trying to be a good model citizen. Fourth is that the villain of the film is introduced terribly and lacks any actual element of being an intimidating character or a charismatic leader that sways his team to do what he wants in the grand scheme of things. Riri Williams, aka Genius Iron Lady? One of the problematic aspects of Riri Williams is her unlikability, whether in the comics or in the live-action series. While flawed characters can be interesting, the challenge arises when those flaws are not effectively represented through character development, character arcs, and authentic personality. At the outset, Riri is introduced as someone who lacks the resources necessary to achieve her goals. Given her complaints about these resources and considering her intelligence, she could be able to create a plan to become financially self-sufficient and bring her projects to fruition. Riri has various options for funding, such as she could patent every student project she has created for others to finance her major projects, allowing Damage Control to use them. A good example will be the force field watch invention, which she could license to Damage Control to assist regular citizens in the event of another alien attack. She could apply for grants from the outreach programs initiated by T'Challa, likely securing funding due to her connections to the Wakandan royal family.
This will be the first Wakandan International Outreach Center. Now, Kia will oversee the social outreach. You will spearhead the science and information exchange.
You're kidding.
Eh?
She could also consider applying for a paid internship at Stark Industries with the support of Dr. William Foster and Pepper Potts.
It's incredible. You're linked to Janet. It's quantum entanglement between the quantum states of Posner molecules in your brains.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Many more examples could illustrate how the character could avoid resorting to theft and instead strive to establish her name based on the intellect that is repeatedly emphasized throughout the show and narrative. The other aspect is that Riri is often portrayed, or rather the writers seem to want to depict her as a chaotic good individual. This type of characters have no respect for laws or social norms and will pursue what they believe is right no matter the cost. They are willing to do unsavory things to unsavory people. However, the issue here is that Riri doesn't quite fit the chaotically good mold. Instead, she's more aligned with a neutral evil character. She is selfish and has no qualms about stabbing others in the back. Greed is the driving force that pushes her to achieve her goals, regardless of who might get hurt in the process. So, it's possible that the writers either accidentally created an anti-villain or they did it on purpose to present a chaotic good individual. But the result is a bit of a mixed bag. This issue has become a common aspect within the MCU, especially when it comes to portraying its heroes. The Hood, aka, is that you, Mr. Piranha? The character of Parker Robbins in the comics is much more compelling than what we have here. In the comics, Parker Robbins was a low-level criminal who dropped out of high school and resorted to stealing to buy medicine for his alien mother. This didn't mean he was an unscrupulous person. On the contrary, he admired the fame and fortune of supervillains and looked up to criminals like Electro. He consistently lied to his mother about living a respectable life. He also had a pregnant girlfriend with whom he lived with, whom she also falsely lied to that he worked as a security guard, and had a cousin named John King, who was already a criminal. One day, Robbins and King decided to steal from a nearby warehouse and discovered that a seance was occurring. They quickly tried to escape but were caught by a demon wearing a red cloak. Robbins shot the demon, attempted to kill him, and believing he was dead, took the demon's hood and boots. He also ended the life of a police officer during his diamond stealing escapades, but King was caught and arrested instead. These are among the many more fascinating stories about the character. Now, when I point out certain aspects of the comic book, I am not suggesting a direct one-to-one translation of the character. Rather, I'm indicating that the character can be more engaging and intriguing. By presenting the source material to the audience, I'm showcasing that the character has potential, and adapting the source material can elevate the character to greater heights, adding to the roster of impressive MCU villains, which is quite limited. That being said, the show is likely to present an even better version than what we see in the source material, right? His introduction is not well done as a gang leader. He does not effectively project fear, disdain, and power, especially since he is referred to as Lord Hood in the comics. However, his approach to recruiting Riri Williams into his group was poorly executed, particularly in how he tried to convince Riri to join him. Presenting the issues of class privilege as one of the themes of the show, and also society lacking meritocracy, and how that doesn't apply to the disenfranchised. From the way he presents it, he would sound more effective as a cult leader disguised as an activist leader. A good way to present this aspect would have been to showcase the character having dual identities, of one being an activist leader and the other a Robin Hood-esque hero. only for all of it to be a lie as he uses the people around him for his selfish goals. But of course we get none of that aspect to be showcased as an established moral and ethical viewpoint, and because of that the character lacks the aspect of moral and ethical philosophy he expounds, considering he and his group are presented as Robin Hood and his merry men. You know, the character who is known to give back to the people. John King, aka the Telemundo Hank with throwing knives. He acts as the human resource and trusted aide of Robin's, who has a more successful approach to convincing Riri Williams to join their cause. He is skilled at tracking down people, as demonstrated by how quickly he found Riri. On the other hand, Riri was not vigilant regarding her loved one's security and also how comfortable she is with her security. His charismatic personality enables him to effortlessly persuade others to support him. This is influenced by the actor's portrayal and his dialogue with other characters. However, like Robbins and the rest, he does not possess any specific goals or a well-defined reason for participating in this crime. The remaining cast members lack any compelling traits in terms of characterization and true character. For instance, Riri's mother, aside from her tendency to bribe blue-collar workers, is portrayed as a widow attempting to connect with her estranged daughter while simultaneously coping with her loss and sorrow. There is a scene in the episode where her mother reacts oddly after Riri says something quite hurtful, but it feels like there is a missing scene or footage that could clarify that moment.
You haven't been home that long, so you need a second.
Forget it. I'm going to my room.
Additionally, there are other members of Parker's gang of merry men, including Eric Andre, who serves merely as a filler character and is often treated as a joke because of his presentation. Interestingly, the character he portrays seems much cooler than what we see on screen. The rest of the characters are similarly underdeveloped. We have the blood sisters or siblings, I guess, one of whom is assumed to be transgender. I could be wrong, please correct me in the comment section. There's also a clown who is simply a clown because she's funny, I suppose. And she's an explosive expert. Then there's Slug, a flamboyant hacker, I guess. None of these characters is fleshed out. They mostly come off as caricatures of their identities rather than fully realized individuals with unique traits, viewpoints, or sensibilities. So what did I think about the first episode? To be honest, Ironheart is a significant disappointment, a huge waste of potential, and an absurd mess of nonsensical chaos. It represents a poor use of both time and money, and frankly the effort seems to have been forced by a studio that has completely lost its way in how to handle the Marvel characters as a whole. The comic book isn't particularly remarkable either, so I wouldn't suggest it as a guide for creating a good adaptation. I do give credit to the writers for having an interesting idea to explore, but the way it was executed was quite sad and disappointing. I will rate this episode a 3 out of 10 and give it an F- for failure. If you like more of this content and you would like to support me further, please like, share, comment, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more videos to come. New videos will be uploaded on Sundays and Thursdays.